Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the number one DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I'm your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, guys, we are going to be breaking down all 12 fights from a DFS perspective happening this Saturday, UFC Vegas 62, headlined by Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araujo. I'm sure I massacred her name, but this is like the third time I've tried to record this intro, so we're going to roll with it, guys. It is hoodie season. Got the woo back on for the fall UFC card, guys. We are getting ready to make some money this weekend. So without further ado, let's get right into it, guys. First fight of the night out of the 12 fights, we have an absolute banger. Mike Jackson going against Pete Rodriguez. Mike Jackson, you may remember, was on the optimal lineup in his last fight. He got eye poked and yam bagged right onto the optimal lineup from Dean Barry, everyone's favorite UFC fighter. Now he is going against Pete Rodriguez, who got beat pretty handily by Jack Della in his UFC debut. These guys have a total of 7 professional fights. I'm not going to take a lot of time with this one. Pete Rodriguez, he's like a minus 700 favorite, 9,500 on the salary line. Mike Jackson, 6,700. One of these guys is probably getting finished. I assume Pete Rodriguez is going to KO Mike Jackson in the first. That's what I assume. The $9,500 salary, guys, if you can see my cursor, has a over 90% win rate, 90.63% win rate, guys. Only optimal once, 6,700, and that was the aforementioned Mike Jackson at 6,700 when he got dick kicked onto the optimal lineup. This fight's going to be very high variance, guys. Anything could happen. Honestly, I think it's Pete Rodriguez inside the distance, mainly inside the first round. If that doesn't happen, he gets tired. Mike Jackson hangs on. It could go to decision, Jackson decision. Either way, I'm not sure what ownership's going to be like. I'll probably be over on Mike Jackson because why not? He'll probably be less than 10% owned, I would imagine. So going 15% on him might be crazy, but it might be something I'm willing to do. Pete Rodriguez, I'll likely be, I don't know if he's going to be 40%. I'm going to probably be under the field here. How could you put 40% ownership into Pete Dead Game Rodriguez? 0-1 in the UFC, only 5 pro fights. He's fought 4 cans basically, and then Jack Della Maddalena. So he does not like getting hit in the face. Mike Jackson really can't hit people in the face. Both these guys' strength of schedules are terrible. We don't really have to go through all the stats. Both guys trending up, I guess. As far as scoring goes, this is a cluster of a fight. Like I said, I'm picking Pete Rodriguez inside the first round. He could score very, very well if he gets a knockdown and a first round finish that's well over 100 points. And at 9,500, he's going to need well over 100 to make the optimal lineup. Mike Jackson on the other side, like I said, I'll probably be over the field a bit at 6,700, but I'm not going crazy with it. I'm sure he'll be more, higher owned than he was in his last fight. But it's still Mike Jackson, and he's still 6,700, the worst salary to play on all of DraftKings. Let's keep it moving. Another dog that everyone's high on this week, CJ Vergara at 7,100, going against Tatsuro Taira. I don't see it, honestly. Would I be surprised if Vergara, a guy with 2 UFC fights under his belt, beats a guy with, 1 UFC fight under his belt? Not really. Taira is 22 years old. Vergara is 9 years older, but only 31, so not, old by any means. Taira looked great in his UFC fight against, who was it? Yeah, that's right, Candelario, who's a decent fighter. Vergara smashed Rodriguez, and he was a $6,800 dog that week, and he smashed, actually, he didn't smash Rodriguez. He won by split decision. I don't know why I said that. In fact, the ass whoop index was very, very close. Vergara losing to Ode Osborne in his very first UFC fight. Not much of a takedown game from Vergara here. No takedowns actually. 0 points per minute in takedowns in his UFC career. 0.72 is what he's given up. Meanwhile, Taira well over 1.16 points per minute in takedowns and control time. I think Taira's probably going to be a little bit better everywhere. The only thing is Vergara is a dog. He puts the dog in underdog. He's got crazy cardio that usually does not let him down. He's just, it makes up for his lack of skills in other places. Very high volume for Vergara as well. So he's going to need some of that cardio to keep that volume up. I personally like Taira. I like the Taira submission possibilities. I'm not banking on it though. As far as this fight goes, I like a lot of other $9,000 fighters a bit more. This is a bit risky in my opinion. Actually, no, I don't. I don't know why I said that. $9,000 range kind of sucks this week, to be honest. There's a few guys that I like, but all the guys you're getting, you know, Pete Rodriguez, 1 UFC fight. Tatsuro Taira, 1 UFC fight. There's another one. There's another one up here that I can't think of. Who's 9,400? Joe Anderson Brito, like 2 UFC fights. Actually, he's not technically 9,400, but that's what I assume he's going to be. So there are some very, you know, guys very high salaried with low UFC experience. So I like Taira in this fight. I'm not going to get too deep into it. What is there to do? I mean, they have 3 UFC fights between them, but Taira is undefeated. So that he has that going for him as well. Scored very well in his first UFC fight, and I like him to keep it moving down here. You know, at the second fight of the night. Next fight, Piera Rodriguez going against Sam Hughes. I love Piera Rodriguez in this fight, but you can never count out Sam Hughes, who has made the optimal lineup in 2 out of her past 4 fights. This one is going to be at strawweight. We have $8,600 Rodriguez going against $7,600 Hughes. Hughes is the better DraftKings scorer, and it's not even close. She averages 106.38 when she wins, and that is, I believe, her last 2 fights. Yeah, she got wins over Estela Nunes and Elise Reed, you know, nothing really to write home about. Before that, losing 3 straight and getting a 4th chance. So the only win Piera Rodriguez has is her only UFC fight against Kay Hansen, in which she scored less than 80 points in that decision win. I like Rodriguez here, though. I think she's going to be the more active fighter, and if she can avoid getting, you know, basically, you know, getting... Sam Hughes throws kind of hard occasionally, so if she can avoid that from Hughes, I think she has a good chance. I love her ground game potential here from Rodriguez, 1.63 points a minute. Sam Hughes does give up a ton of points. She also scores a ton as far as takedowns and control time. I think Piera's game is a bit better when it comes to you know, takedowns, control time, etc. I think if she lands on top, you know, takes Sam Hughes down and gets on top of her, I think she could stay there for an entire round. And if not, if Sam Hughes does that to Rodriguez, which is possible, I think Rodriguez could reverse the position here and, you know, get some control time back in her favor. So I do like the Rodriguez side a bit more. The strength of schedule is not even close. It's going to all go to Sam Hughes here, and that is, you know, as you can see, for good reason. Tisha Torres, Loma Lookboonmee, Luana Pinheiro. These women have very good records. Elise Reed Kay Hansen, not so much. Both women trending up as far as DraftKings scoring goes, and in fact, Sam Hughes' opponents are trending down. Very, very good look for Sam Hughes here. Excuse me. What do we got left? Visual statistical recap and aggregate career / UFC finishing percentages. Very, very low as far as finishes in the UFC. Only 33% of wins and losses have come by way of finish. And in their whole career, you know, finishes and wins 2/3, finishes and losses, you know, it's 50% finishes and losses. I think Piera Rodriguez could be a nice little sneaky play this week. I don't think this fight is going to be I think Piera Rodriguez is going to be relatively low owned for what I think she has the potential to do in this fight against Sam Hughes. I honestly think Sam Hughes is going to be over owned. Coming off of those 2 wins and 2 optimal performances, I can see her salary or her ownership being above Rodriguez's as a dog. So I'm going to probably switch it up. I'll have more Rodriguez than Hughes here, but I do like this fight. These salaries both do very well as far as salary voodoo goes. And like I said, I like Rodriguez probably by decision here. Let's keep it moving. Next fight, the 40-year-old Rafael Assuncao going against Victor Henry, coming off a fantastic win. Was it about 6 months ago, probably at this point? No, 9 months ago against Raoni Barcelos in his UFC debut. Smashed Barcelos. I mean, looked fantastic. Scored 113 points in that win. 5.5 points a minute is what Henry put up. And he is now 9,300, whereas he was 6,900 in his last fight. 2,400 over his previous salary. Meanwhile, Assuncao, 6,900, scores terribly. I'm not interested in the Assuncao side at all. 2.27 points a minute is all he averaged over his career. 71.87 points per win. He's 11-6 in the UFC. I believe he's dropped 4 in a row. Yeah, and that one was to Cody Garbrandt, which was completely ridiculous. That highlight is amazing. I'm no Cody Garbrandt fan, but man, that highlight is something else. I don't like Assuncao here at all. I will be looking for other underdogs, other guys and girls for salary relief. I like the Henry side. I'm not so sure he finishes Assuncao, meaning I don't know if he can necessarily pay off that $9,300 salary. There is a chance, though, so for that reason, I will have, 20-25% maybe Victor Henry here, just in case he does get that, early finish on Assuncao. Guys, when you land a knockdown, I've just been going deep into some knockdown stats. Every fighter, whenever they set foot in the octagon, has a 25.03, according to my stats, percent chance of making the optimal lineup. If you land a knockdown, that goes from 25.03% to just over 50% just by landing one knockdown. So if that can happen, I like the Henry side of things. He did make the optimal lineup, as I said, with that huge win at like $6,800 is what he scored. Assuncao trending down as far as DraftKings scoring while his opponents trend up. You never like to see that. I like the Henry side here. I will be keeping temperate expectations as I do expect this one to go to decision, but Henry could possibly stop it early if Assuncao is truly washed at over 40 years old. So we will have to see, but I will be, like I said, tempering my expectations a bit. Next fight, a grappler's wet dream here. Nick Maximov going up against Jacob Malkoun. I honestly don't know who I like more in this fight. This fight's going to go one of, I guess, three ways. Way one is Maximov, out wrestles Malkoun, lands a ton of takedowns, gets a ton of control time, scores very well in a decision win. Option two, Jacob Malkoun does all those things I just said on Maximov, scores takedowns, looks good in a decision win. And three is two wrestlers fight each other, and this becomes the worst, one of the most boring stand-up kickboxing fights from two wrestlers that you've ever seen, because neither one of them wants to get taken down, and they all score shitty. So as far as that goes, I'm going to have both of these guys. I'm playing both of them. The $8,300 salary and $7,900 salary is they're both fantastic to play. Both have an optimal rate of just over 30.5%. Both of them do. The dog and the favorite here. So play, we're under-owned, under-leveraged here. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. We're under-leveraged here by like 11%, guys. Check out Salary Voodoo on the MMA Engine. We do cover this fight, and we are under-owned to this fight as a whole by 11%. It's one of the most under-owned fights out of all possible salary pairs, guys. So get these guys in your lineup. Maybe even go into your optimizer and just, make a group with these two guys and say, I want one of these guys in no matter what. Maybe up to like 80%. That's what I would probably do. They both score extremely well for DraftKings. Over 5.5 a minute for Malkoun, 121 per win. Meanwhile, Maximov, over 5 points a minute, almost 110 per win. Maximov got starched against Andre Petroski in a minute, just over a minute. He got subbed. And then Malkoun just lost a squeaker to Brendan Allen. I thought he won that along with everybody else, but has been KO'd in the past very quickly by one Phil Hawes. So I honestly don't know. Personally, I guess I want to see Malkoun win, but I think Maximov's gonna win. That's kind of how I see this one. It could get out of hand. We could have a million takedowns here. How's their takedown defense? Let's see. Defense 100% for Maximov, 0% for Jacob Malkoun. Takedowns landed per 15, over 6. We're at over 14 takedowns landed per 15 minutes combined between these guys. I'll probably pick Maximov just to give you a pick. I'll pick Maximov to win. I'm hoping the winner scores very, very well. Lots of takedowns, lots of control time, and I'm hoping the loser even scores decently too. If this goes to decision, this could actually be an interesting stack possibility. I'd never lean stack. I hate stacking. It just doesn't pay off hardly at all. But this could be interesting. If this goes to decision and both of these guys land 5-6 takedowns, man, this could be interesting. I'm leaning Maximov. Let's move on here. Let's move on. That was just for you guys. Next fight, Joe Anderson Brito going against Lucas Alexander. This one came about because Melsik Bagdasaryan, I believe, broke his hand. That was Brito's original opponent. That would have been a banger. I'm very much looking forward to what Melsik can do in this organization. But that happened. In steps Lucas Alexander. We have no salaries for this yet. So you see 9,400 and 6,800. The odds for this fight are something ridiculous. Brito's close to around minus 300. I assume he's going to be 9,400, guys. We have a 9,500 salary already in whoever the hell's fighting. God damn it. You know who I'm talking about. We have a $9,300 salary, I believe, in Askarov. I'm not sure. Somebody's up. There's no 94, and the only other salary spaces are like 84 and 82. And that's way too close. So Brito's going to be 9,400 unless they make him 96, which they won't because we have like a minus 600. Oh, it's Pete Rodriguez. Pete's like minus 700. So I'm assuming Brito's going to be 94, Lucas 68. I'm not really interested in this fight. If I am, I'm interested in Brito. He's got tons of possibilities, especially early in fights. He just finished Andre Fili in, I believe, under a minute. Yeah, that was back at the end of April. But lost to Bill Algeo in his UFC debut. So the longer the fights go, the worse Brito tends to get. He tends to burn himself out by throwing crazy volume at the very beginning, first round, trying to finish the job. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, what is happening to me right now? I think I'm trying to talk too fast. I don't know anything about Alexander. He's 7-2 professionally. His last 5 strength of schedule is terrible, under 50 in 3 of 4 categories, or 2 of 4 categories, I should say. Meanwhile, Brito has a decent strength of schedule, right around 70. That's right where you want to be have a respectable strength of schedule. You know what I'm saying? Percent of finished wins in their careers, cumulatively 70%. 80% losses they have been finished. So I like Brito here. I think he probably rolls the newcomer Alexander. I will have probably 20-25% in case he does get that first round finish, which we all look forward to. I mean, he got a quick win bonus in his last fight, and that was against Andre Fili. That guy's got like 37 fights in the UFC. Not really, but at least 10, 15, right? It's got to be up there by now. And he demolished him, ran right through him, less than a minute. So that is a possibility here for Brito. So 9,400 could be paid off, but we will have to see. I'm going to temper expectations a bit. I'm going to say Alexander, maybe gets out of the first round, but you got to get Brito in there in case he doesn't. I mean, this guy put up 130 in his last fight with a couple of with 30 seconds worth of work. So let's get him in our lineups, but not too crazy. Next fight, Mana Martinez going against Brandon Davis. My goodness. Another great fight as far as salary voodoo goes. 8,500 against 7,700. Brandon Davis, I'm not a fan. I don't think this guy, it's his second run in the UFC. He just got mauled by Dana Batgarel, beaten down in 2 minutes, KO'd, smashed up, 22 strikes landed against, and the final blow was a gigantic one that put him out. Mana Martinez on the other side, I believe he's coming off of a loss to Ronnie Lawrence, beat Guido Canetti, which is aging pretty well, much like Guido is these days. Mana Martinez getting that win in his UFC debut over Guido Canetti. Allows 1.5 points per minute in takedowns. We're not worried about that from Brandon Davis. It doesn't seem like Davis has trouble, stopping takedowns on his own side. Davis does not score well. 2 points a minute, 82 per win, in which in the UFC he has 2. That's right, he is 2-6 in the UFC, 0-1 since he's come back. I believe before that his last fight was against Giga in 2019. Kang in 2019 as well. Randy Costa, actually he beat Randy Costa, not really too surprising there. Not trying to diss Randy Costa, but fraudulent is the words that we like to use when guys aren't quite what we thought they might be. Long story short, I don't like this fight as far as DraftKings, but I think Martinez has a chance to put Brandon Davis out, and that's why I will be rostering Martinez. Davis, God, geez, I don't even know. Martinez has been finished once by sub in his career. He is 9-3, but Davis is not out here. You really think he's going to finish Mana Martinez? I personally don't think so. I think Davis is washed. I think it's done for. This is probably, unless he signed a 3-fight deal, I would say this is probably his last fight on his deal, but he'll probably end up getting one more. I like the Martinez side here. I will be rostering him because I don't trust Brandon Davis. I don't trust Brandon Davis to make it out of the first round. I don't really trust Mana Martinez either. But I like the, what do they say? I like the cut of your jib. I like the cut of his jib. But again, does not score very well. And when he did lose, guys, he gave up 131 to Ronnie Lawrence. He did get taken down 6 times and controlled for 54% of his fight against Lawrence. But still, here I'll scroll down and show you the projections at least, what we're looking at. Davis actually has decent projections, but that's because Martinez allowed, like I just said, 130 some points when he lost. I like the Martinez side here. I don't see how we could really be picking Brandon Davis. He has shown absolutely nothing in his second comeback to the UFC, and even before that, It was slim pickings. So I don't trust either one of them. High variance fight this one, but I'm leaning Martinez. I don't trust Brandon Davis at all. Next fight. Are we on the main card now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are on the main card. Guys, 20 minutes in. We'll try to finish this up in about 15 minutes or so. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe down below. It only takes you a second on the Monkmatics channel, but it helps me a ton. We are pushing for 400 followers, guys, or 400 subs, I should say. We're about 12 away, so help me get to that milestone. I want to get, the ultimate goal is 1,000 subs, and I need to hit 400 before I hit 1,000. So be sure to hit those buttons down there for me. Thank you so much, especially if this helps. Be sure to do that. Misha Cirkunov going against Alonzo Menifield, opening up the main card, UFC Vegas 62. This one, again, make a group probably with 2 fighters in it, these 2 fighters, and say, put one of these guys in my lineups. Obviously, you're getting a ton of salary relief here with Misha Cirkunov, 4.38 points a minute. Fantastic. 107.5 points per win. Amazing. Average ass whoop index, 3rd highest on the card, 11.01. What else were we looking at? 83. So 5 of 6 of his UFC wins have been over 100 points. 4 of them over 110. I mean, this guy's almost 2 points a minute and takedowns and control time. Why are we not putting Misha Cirkunov in our lineups? Oh, wait, because he's lost 4 of his last 5 to Wellington Turman, Jotko, Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker, and he beat Jimmy Crute. None of these guys are, it's too surprising that he lost. But he's, 35 years old. I guess he's not that much older, actually, than Menifield. A great strength of schedule here. How can you trust Misha Cirkunov? He put himself into a straight up armbar against Wellington Turman. I had Cirkunov in that last one, I'm sure. I like Alonzo Menifield here. I don't like his $8,900 salary. Did you know Menifield has exactly 1 knockdown in the UFC? It was his very first. This is shocking to me. His very first fight. So out of 8 fights, so yeah, his first one, only 1 knockdown. That's it. He has not had a knockdown since, even though he has finished people by KO, TKO 3 times in the UFC. Just 1 knockdown. So that is not what we want. The point of me saying that is he could get finishes, and he's just not scoring well. He's just not, because he's not getting that extra 10 points for knockdowns like he should be. 100.95. He's still over triple digits. That is pretty incredible. 100.95 per win. There's a fly in here. I feel like Walter White all of a sudden. 2.93 points per minute. He's just $138 over his average. I like Menifield here. I think he probably beats Cirkunov. Does he do it inside the distance? That's where I don't know. He has made the optimal lineup in 2 out of his past 4 fights. That would have been the fraud Askarov and probably against Fabio Charant. Fought Ed Herman, scored 73 points. Fought William Knight, lost, and scored 38 points. Fought Oven St. Preux, got knocked out in the back in 2020. How can you trust Alonzo Menifield? Do not. I mean, actually, I'm gonna take back what I said at the beginning when I said make a group and put one of these 2 guys in it. I don't think you can actually do that. I think Cirkunov has a chance to beat Menifield, possibly by decision, but even inside the distance, there's a chance. Menifield, I believe, probably has the better chance of beating Cirkunov inside the distance. Cirkunov's been KO, TKO'd 4 out of his 6 UFC losses, guys. 4 out of 6 of them finished early, KO, TKO. The other one was a sub, and 1 was a decision. Do I think Menifield can finish Cirkunov? Yes. Do I think that will happen? I don't know. And 8,900 is very steep price to be flipping coins like that. I just don't know. I'll probably be, his average ownership since 2021 has been, I believe, around 40%. That seems very, very high. He has made the optimal in 2 out of those 4 fights. So if you were on him for, Mazarov and Charant, good on you. If not, you crapped out. So I think that's a bit high. I'll be under the field on Menifield, especially if he's going to be around 40%, which I assume he will be again. And I'll probably be over on Cirkunov just to get me a little bit of that variance. At 7,300, I get salary relief as well. Like I said, I like Menifield to win. I think he probably wins inside the distance, but I can't trust him to win inside the distance. And I can't trust him to actually win. So if this gets into the 2nd or 3rd round, I'm going to be chewing my nails like Scooby-Doo or something. And I'm not going to know what to do with myself. So long story short, I don't trust Menifield, even though I think he does win. Next fight, Dusko Todorovic going against Jordan Wright. I mean, what are we doing here? Guys, 8,700 for Dushko Todorovic, 75 for Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright scores extremely well when he wins. However, that is few and far between, especially in this promotion. He is 2-3 in the UFC, 6.52 points a minute, 109.86 when he wins. Todorovic, 3.37 a minute, 119.67 when he wins. Both guys are 2-3 in the UFC. Jordan Wright, this is going to go probably one of two ways, and they both involve ending in the first, under 1.5. I think either guy can knock the other one out. I don't trust Jordan Wright even less than I trust Menifield by a ton. Jordan Wright seems like he could be fraudulent. It seems like if you tap him on his shoulder, he could go down. Dushko Todorovic, same thing, just not quite as drastic, it seems. Todorovic got smashed by Njokuani in just under a round, smashed by Gregory Rodriguez, smashed by Punahele Soriano in just under the first round. Has beat only Maki Pitolo and Daquan Townsend. Neither guy, I believe, is in the UFC currently anymore. Jordan Wright losses to Buckley, Bruno Silva, and Marc-Andre Barrio. Only wins over Jamie Pickett and Ike Villanueva. Guys, I don't trust either one of these guys. Both of them, they're just, chilling right about the same number of DraftKings points per minute while their opponents barely trend up. My projections are very high because both of their chins are terrible. Percent of finishes in wins in the UFC, 100. Percent of finishes in losses in the UFC, 5 out of 6 losses have been finishes. That's the big one here. I think someone's getting finished. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm leaning Todorovic by first round victory because why wouldn't you against Jordan Wright? But that could easily be flipped. It could easily be Wright first round finish. I think with the first round and under 1.5, honestly, finish potential, knockdown potential, you have to roster these guys. It sucks so bad, I know, but I'll probably be over the field on Wright, probably be over the field on Todorovic, and those are two sentences I never thought I would ever say. So it sucks, but I think it's gonna have to be like that. These guys just have, they're both so bad. The probability of this ending in the first round is gigantic. So Dushko at 8,700 is insane. Jordan Wright at 7,500 is a little easier to swallow, but the ownership I'm going to have on him is going to kind of make me sick to my stomach. So that's I'm picking Todorovic by first round knockout. Askarov going against Brandon Royval, co-main event of the evening, guys. Everybody is probably going to be picking Askarov. He scores terrible DraftKings player. Less than 3 points a minute, 77.43 points per win. That is it, guys. I'll be on the Royval side. $7,000 for Royval this week. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not. Do I think he has a chance to win early? Yes. Do I think he has a chance to pay off his measly $7,000 salary? 100%. He's such a high volume guy. Only scores 2.85 points a minute, but 90 per win. Gives up a ton. But again, Askarov does not score a ton of points per minute. He's a big takedown and control time guy. 1.63 points per minute in those categories. Royval allows a ton of points in those categories, well over almost 3 points a minute is what he allows. I'm leaning Askarov to win, but I'm going to be rostering a ton of Royval. Not a ton probably compared to the field, a ton compared to the average ownership of $7,000 fighters. I'll probably be 20, 30, 40% on Royval. That might be pushing it. But Royval has a great strength of schedule. So does Askarov. Askarov losing to Kaikara France, but before that beating Benavidez, Pantoja, Tim Elliott, and a draw against Brandon Moreno. Royval coming off of 2 wins, one of them not so good over Bontarine. Very close fight. In fact, I think Bontarine probably won that fight. And then one over Matt Schnell, in which he subbed him in just over 2 minutes. I honestly am going to have to rewatch that. I don't even remember that fight. He lost to Pantoja, who Askarov beat. He lost to Moreno, who Askarov beat. But he beat Kaikara France, who Askarov lost to. So, guys, don't do MMA math, and this is exactly why. Long story short, I think Royval is... I think this line is way too wide. Way too wide. I will be way over the field on Royval and probably under the field on Askarov. I think he wins the fight, Askarov. The $9,200 salary has a 72% win rate. I think that's right about what he wins at, 7 out of 10 times. But will he pay off that $9,200 salary? I tend to think not. If you go by trends, then definitely not. He'd have to finish Royval early or just take him down nonstop and control him for 3 rounds straight. So for that reason, I'll have a bit of Askarov, but I'll have more Royval than not because I don't think that's going to happen. I think Royval will keep this competitive. And either way, I'm not putting Askarov in a ton of lineups. I don't think he makes optimal this week, even though I do like him to win the fight. Next fight, another fight where I kind of like the dog here. Jonathan Martinez, tough son of a gun, going up against Cub Swanson, who's almost 39 years old, but he's just $7,400 this week, guys. Jonathan Martinez, 8,800, does not score well for DraftKings. 10 fights in the UFC. He's averaging 2.75 points a minute and just 74.34 per win. His last win was pretty good, I thought, over Vince Morales, but he only scored 76 points. 59 points against Perez, 67 against Lazishvili, and then 59 against Thomas Almeida. Again, I'm a trend-based guy. I can't put this guy in a ton of lineups, especially at 8,800. That is a terrible salary to play as far as salary voodoo goes. And yeah, 75 points a minute, not even that. I'll be much higher on the Cub Swanson side, almost 3 a minute, 95 per win, only gives up 2.87 points per minute. And he's $691 cheaper than his average salary. 61% of his wins, 13 wins, have been over 90 points. And if he scores over 90 points at 7K or 7.4K, he's probably going to make the optimal lineup. So give me Cub Swanson here. Wins over Elkins, Pineda, Chrome Gracie, lost to Giga Chikadze, who, you know, landed that liver kick. I think if they fight again, Cub Swanson does a bit better. And then lost to Shane Burgos as well. Very low projections for both of these guys, as I just went into. And the finish rates are pretty low, higher in losses than they are in wins, which is always something you want to look at. I will personally have more Cub Swanson than Jonathan Martinez. I don't think Martinez scores very well. In fact, I know he doesn't score very well. I don't think he's going to pay off that optimal lineup, or that optimal, sorry. I don't think he's going to pay off that salary and make the optimal lineup. He has not made it in any of his last 4 fights. Cub, meanwhile, did make it in 1 out of his past 2, and that would have been the Darren Elkins fight, where he did get a first-round KO. In fact, the only early KO between the two of these guys in their last 5 fights, last 10 fights put together. And he did that at $8,800. Now he is the opposite salary, $7,400. Let's see if he can pull it off and you know, get a big score with a little salary. That's what I'll be looking for. And so I'll be over the field on Cub Swanson. Guys, 32 minutes. Let's close this bad boy out with the last fight of the night, 12th fight of UFC Vegas 62. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We've got Alexa Grasso going against Viviane Araujo. I like this fight, honestly. $9,000, $7,200. It's probably a bit wide. I think Grasso probably wins, but Araujo is a beast, especially in the first round, second round, early third round, before she tends to gas out. She is an absolute beast. Grasso, kind of a beast herself. 9K, what do we get for 9K? Over 3 points a minute, 85 per win. Vivi on the other side, over almost 3.5 points per minute, 83.5 per win. So we're getting pretty similar numbers here. Araujo has scored a knockdown and has been knocked down as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, the only finishes for Grasso in the UFC, 1 sub win and 1 sub loss. Araujo does have 1 KO victory in the UFC, but she is 4-2 as far as decisions go. Grasso 5-2 as far as UFC decisions go. Yeah, only 2 of 6 UFC fights. UFC wins, rather. Grasso has put up over 90. Meanwhile, Araujo has put up 90 in 3 of 5 of her wins. Never triple digits, though. That is important. Never triple digits. If you think she can get Grasso out of there early, then get her in your lineup at 7,200. In fact, even if you don't, even if you think this gets extended, I think this is a decent play for salary relief. She's only $7,200, guys. I do like the Grasso side, but if you can't get to her, you just can't get to her. 9K isn't tremendously high, but it's decent. It's high enough. Both strength of schedules are pretty bad, but Grasso wins every category easily. Coming off wins, you know, she is 4-5 in her or she has won 4 of her last 5, I should say. Coming off a win over Joanne Wood, Macy Barber, Jiyoung Kim, and Double K, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Her only loss was to the current champ, Carla Esparza. Meanwhile, Araujo coming off of a win against Lee, lost to Shukagian, win over Modafferi, win over De La Rosa, and the biggest red flag of probably of her career, the loss to Jessica I. How does that even happen? I don't care if the fight was close. That's a bad look. That is a bad look. Here are my aggregate UFC finishing percentages. I mean, very low. 18% finishes in wins. 20% of their losses have been finishes. That's it. Even in their career, we are well under 50% both sides. Does this go to decision? Most likely. Can Vivi score well in a decision? I think she can score okay to the point where even if she doesn't win, she could still put up maybe 50 points, maybe 3.42 points a minute. Meanwhile, Grasso's allowing almost 3 points a minute. That could be something there. We could get 50-ish points from Araujo in a loss. And with a win, she's probably making the optimal at 7,200. Even an 83-point win, you know, she's right up there as far as making the optimal. So I like Grasso. I think Grasso probably wins by decision. I don't know that she pays off that $9,000 salary, though, guys. So I'll be under on the favorite and over on the dog, but I will have both sides of this fight. Guys, that's going to do it. Before we get out of here, let's check out Computer Monk's picks. I've given you my picks, my leans, what I personally think is going to happen, just kind of looking at things and my feelings toward things. All feelings, no facts, as they say. But let's see what CM Monk thinks, stats-wise. CM Monk picking Mike Jackson. Well, sure. Then it's a bunch of favorites. Tatsuro Taira by decision, Piera Rodriguez by decision, Victor Henry decision, Nick Maximov decision. I like that. That could be this one is going to be a lot of points, guys. This Maximov Malkoun fight. I think if they avoid the kickboxing angle, you know, the two wrestlers that just get stuck kickboxing each other for 15 minutes, the winner's going to score a shitload of points. Joe Anderson Brito against the newcomer Alexander by finish. Mana Martinez over Brandon Davis by decision. Alonzo Menifield by finish over Cirkunov. That would be interesting. Dusko Todorovic by finish over Jordan Wright. My second favorite fight to target, even though I hate this fight. Todorovic and Wright. I can't believe I have to roster them as high as I'm going to, but it is what it is. Askarov by finish over Royval. I do not see that coming or happening, I should say. I'd be very surprised if that happened. Jonathan Martinez by finish over Swanson. Man, that would be tough. And then the main event of the evening, we'll take the underdog, Viviane Araujo, going against Grasso by decision. I don't mind that at all. So I agree, and I can tolerate at least most of Computer Monk's picks. Guys, that is going to do it. This is the end of the video. We won't drag it on. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to check out my other content. It is linked down below. We got Odds on Optimal on this channel. We've got Salary Voodoo over on the MMA Engine, which should be live as you're watching this. And guys, be sure to comment down below if there's any other stats you want me to put in, any stats that you love to see. Let me know what you think down below. And I thank you guys so much. There's not much else to do. As usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy, and we will see you next time.